And hello and welcome back to the LPL. I am not Pulse, I am your new host Frostgear, and we made a bit of a substitution, or maybe Pulse just evolved into his actual final form, but as I said, Draco Malfoy on the desk now. I'm still here with Clement Chu. How you going?
I just witnessed the transformation. It was actually quite shocking.
Yeah, Pulse unfortunately feeling a little bit ill, but that's fine. I'm here to step in and walk you through this game. So we are mid-series OMG versus EDG right now, and EDG gave them quite a shellacking. And Clement, during the break we were having this discussion about what is salvageable from OMG's roster? Because on Weibo, publicly the coach said that he's going to be taking a step back, so obviously the support structure behind OMG taking a lot of responsibility for their failings this split. But in your analysis, in your opinion, where do you pinpoint? Is there a diamond in the rough on the team? Is there something that you immediately shift? Where do you attack first?
So the first thing I would say is jungler. This is a team that was undefeated before Rift Rivals last time around.
3 junglers on that squad.
Yeah, and they're not having 3 junglers because they all have unique personalities and good properties. They're having 3 junglers because they cannot get any of them to work.
They can't figure out where to make it fit.
And the big thing you look about OMG and where their strengths really lie in, it's still in the solo lanes with Xiang and Icon. Xiang right now still has the 3rd highest solo kill rate in lane. That's pretty impressive, and he's very good on the initiations and the engages. When OMG can play purely toward the top side and just use Xiang and Icon and a good jungler, then I could see that team being very strong, but the jungler.
So is this actually also then an extension and issue of draft? Because if you're saying that their solo lanes are strong like the Icon, like Xiang, then shouldn't it just be a draft issue of tweaking and saying, hey, let's get these guys counter picks? Or if you do give them counter picks, because if I look at Xiang, I'm thinking more of like a role player, not necessarily like the Shy. So is it even worth it to just try to inject adrenaline into their solo lanes and try to get them counter matchups?
Well, that's the thing that I don't think is necessarily true. I think on a mechanical level, they're very good, but they're not really like win condition top laners where they're going to be a split pusher and just finish the game for you. You do need to find another win condition somewhere on the map, and that's where SMLZ really worked with the team. You had Icon and Xiang, who are the 2 best distractions. I didn't think Icon was terribly good in the sense that he would really elevated his team to a completely different level.
He's not like a rookie.
Yeah, he's not like a rookie, but he takes so much attention away from SMLZ and allows him to really grow up into a hyper carry. So I think you're right in the sense that they are role players, and another point to prove that is OMG, they've always had a preference for the blue side. They're not a counter-pick team. They just want to get your big tank in the top lane, and he's going to do okay in lane. He's even going to get some solo kills, and Xiang and Icon's just going to pick something that's on top of the meta heap.
So role player top lane, distraction in the mid lane, they want to get a front-to-back type of team fight. You said, this is why SMLZ was so important to the squad. So then, do you have to hone in and focus on developing Chelly? Is this, we need an actually competent ADC for OMG to come back and be another contender for the LPL throne?
Here's the thing, I don't think Chelly is even that bad. The problem about Chelly is that he just doesn't fit with his team in terms of teamfight style. If you look at SMLZ as a hyper carry, he was very willing to go forward with his team. He was willing to play in the front lines. OMG didn't run a traditional 4 protect 1. They run with a Kled. So it's a very different composition. The way Chelly plays, however, he needs a lot of protection. He isn't very comfortable going into the front lines. And frankly, he doesn't really have the mechanics to do what the things that SMLZ did. And you also look at the supporting role, 5 is the main initiator of that team. So he's never going to be around to really protect Chelly. And that's where I think that OMG as a system kind of falls apart. They have the pieces that have their own, things that work with them, but they don't fit together.
Do you think then that you continue to invest in those pieces, though? That if you see the strengths of Chelly, the promise of Icon and Xiang, the fact that they're still trying to find that correct jungler running Fire Lily in this game, do you continue to develop here, or is this like pump the brakes, we immediately need a roster substitution or some sort of big roster changes between 2018 spring and 2018 summer?
They do need roster changes, but I honestly feel like it's just in the jungle. I feel like Shelly's playstyle can't be kind of tweaked. You can't play Tell 5, you need to protect your AD carry a little bit more. It's not about all you going in. Sometimes we can get the new jungler guy or Xiang to do it as well. I think you tweak the jungler, see how it works, and then go from there. Because right now, that's the least amount they do need to tweak. And if they're so invested in their lanes, you can't run around with a jungler that has the lowest first blood participation rate. That's just not acceptable.
Okay, final question. If they do find these tweaks miraculously in the middle of this series, get Xiang on a tank, get Icon on some sort of hyper distraction, and get Chelly on a champion that he's comfortable with and people are peeling for him, can they beat EDG?
No.
Well, you heard it yourself. We're probably looking at a 2-0, but we're going to see it. Casters, take it away.
don't understand. Those are all the fixes that OMG need to make. Why can't they beat EDG if they make all the fixes?
Because EDG is a very good team. Very hard to beat. I guess it depends, right, on how EDG's form is coming into the second game. And I think the place that we want to start, Fish, is how good EDG actually looked.
Well, they looked pretty good in the first match. I mean, we saw that clear-cut strategy from them. They drafted towards it as well. It's only something you can really do if you picked up on the top lane on top of that. And from start to finish, they only made one mistake, which was that one team fight underneath mid lane in a turret.
You could do it with Ornn in the top lane. I actually think Olaf could potentially do it as the jungler as well. But they choose to do it for the Ornn. They choose to purchase items for him. And I think that EDG's strategy was very obvious, very clear-cut towards the weakness of OMG. If it's a place where EDG perhaps are at their weakest as well through the jungle role, you may as well empower that. And I think that's what they did. It wasn't direct, you know, like give him the counter pick. It was let him succeed in the jungle by giving him knowledge, knowledge being the power that he needs.
Fire Lolly on that Sejuani, he was shut down. I can't really criticize him and say that he had a bad game because it was really EDG putting him down. He's up against his former team. He was the first jungler to try and step into the big shoes that you have to fill when Clearlove leaves the squad. He's still nowhere to be seen. It's still Haro playing for EDG, but we're into the second pick ban phase.
You know
EDG
what?
Against OMG.
I think that is why Fire Lolly's playing today and why there hasn't been any substitutes. It's because he's got that, I'm not going to say bad blood, he's got biff. He's got some beef. He needs to squash the beef with EDG, and beating them is the best way to do that. He's got his own little rivalry going on. He's still going to persist here. There's not going to be any of the other junglers seen.
Well, just remember, we saw even in that first match, that 7,000 gold behind, OMG still had some sparks of life in them. We're able to try and take it to EDG. Let's see if they can have a better early game in game number 2. But EDG, they've got the Birdman in the top lane. They lock in Swain, bending out Vladimir, Gangplank, and Tom Kench. OMG taking a support first. Brom gets locked in with Alistar, Ryze, and Xayah.
Yeah, they don't change their bans at all here, OMG. It's still the same 3, just in a different order for no particular reason. Now they will give over the Swains, so perhaps they're comfortable doing exactly that. Xiang may have an answer. Icon may have an answer. Swain's now one of the strongest flexes, of course, that's running around. Summoner's Rift.
But they get the priority pick of Varus in the bottom lane. So Eyeboy used it in the last match. OMG had Ezreal banned out against them by EDG. So it seems to be the third pick that EDG would like to go towards, but they lock in Tristana instead.
And with the Tristana, the Alistar is unfortunately already banned, so you have to question what they'll be looking towards as their next pick. I personally would still want to see that Leona, but I wouldn't be picking it now.
Into a Brom Varus. Very gutsy play from EDG if they decide to go towards it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go forwards. That's what you do. Some crowd control works very well with a Swain. Of course, just anything with crowd control would work a treat.
They're going to do it as well.
Absolutely.
Level 2 all-in bottom lane. Let's go. Leona gets locked in for Mako. Swain's still a flex pick for EDG, so they haven't showed their hand yet. Let's see what OMG decide to pick up last, because they'll have the last pick as well.
Now, when we're looking towards the next pick here for OMG, it's a matter of preference. They usually will ban away mid laners from scouting their second ban phase. They can prioritize a jungler, which is what I would prefer the most, knowing full well that EDG have not locked one in themselves. That is a place that they can try and exploit Haro. Olaf ban, an easy option for them.
Sejuani gets locked in for Fire Lolly, so they get the Sejuani-Brom combo.
It's also very true.
And this was the champion that Fire Lolly got shut down on when Haro was playing Olaf. But as you mentioned, they get the first ban hit. Let's see if they start banning out Haro's pool, and they do. Olaf, straight away taken off the board.
Now, the Olaf ban is expected. Looking towards the side of EDG, when they've got to pick a couple of roles themselves. Deny what from them? Perhaps you would deny mid laners, something like the Azir and the Cassiopeia, the expected. With the Ryze already removed, the Vladimir already gone, and the Swain locked in. Whilst it's still a flex, I would expect that it goes towards Scout. We'll have to see which direction they want it to go, because the Talia is still there. And in a perfect world scenario, if I had a choice for EDG, I'd still want to give him Talia and just put the Swain top lane.
And we've seen more Swains top in the LPL, from what I remember. Even on 8.4, we saw it played at the top lane.
I think that was why, though. It was 8.4. He was only really viable as a top lane, and we're seeing a lot more of him mid lane at the moment.
OMG still think it's going to go to top lane, though. They ban out Orianna. They don't want Scouts to pick up that champion here.
I think that ban from EDG indicates where the Swain's going.
Yeah, Talia being banned out in the mid lane. Targeting Icon, so it should be a mid lane Swain we expect.
There's still the Cassiopeia as an option, however, for OMG on the opposite side. The Galio is also another champion you could be looking towards.
Again, now which lane do they pick towards? This is the second time we've seen EDG go towards a flex pick. OMG have to choose. Do they want to pick their mid lane first? Do they want to pick their top lane first? This time, they're going to give the mid lane pick to Icon first and allow Seyoung that counter pick.
Yeah, and they legitimately empower Icon this time. It's a pleasure to see, of course, if Icon is able to ever get an opportunity to shine. He's one of the superstars of our league that is no longer going to be considered such a thing, unfortunately, with his recent performances. But he has the potential always there. So that's what we look towards with the mid laner of OMG.
But this is something we see EMG do... Oh, EMG. EDG do all the time.
What's the M stand for?
Using their flex picks whenever they're on blue side. It's very rare that a team on red side against EDG get double counter picked into the solo lanes.
That's true. I don't think EDG are too concerned about this. OMG on the opposite side as well. I mean, it depends where your priorities lie, right? If you're EDG, it seems like their priority lies more with the compositional choices, and Ray, who seems to always get that counter pick as a top laner. But this time around, being on the blue side, he doesn't even get that option. So he's going to go towards Na, which is your safe pick.
Yep.
It's pretty much uncontested. Everything can be picked into it if you'd like. There are soft counters, there are hard counters, but the hard counters aren't meta. This is one of those options that can do very well into you, especially in mini form.
So Na gets picked up in the top lane for Ray. That means Scout will play Swain. The pickup for Seyoung into Na is going to be Camille in the top lane.
And I don't think you need an expert to tell you what EDG's composition is good at. It's pretty much just putting your face in it. It's going forwards, jumping in, using the Zac Elastic Slingshot, the Mega Na, the Leona ultimate, as well as the Swain, especially in ult form, just running forwards and being a powerhouse composition. The early game is very important for that fact, getting themselves snowballed, and the Tristana is mobile enough to compensate.
They have a very strong bottom lane for that early game advantage, and Tristana does scale well. But do you really want to run headfirst into a Cassiopeia, Braum, and Sejuani?
It's not the best case scenario, that's for certain. However, that's why the early game is so important here. If EDG are able to snowball, then the Zac going forwards is never really a dangerous thing. It's not super risky. He can ult back out to safety. And they can get their opportunities. I think that OMG's best case scenario with their full Finnish team composition as well is the Cassiopeia protecting the Varus. They want to play front to back. And yes, EDG may be making the risk of going forwards and trying to engage on that front-to-back composition. But with the amount of crowd control they have, the range with which they can use that crowd control, I think it still makes it hard for OMG to execute.
Well, we heard from the desk earlier. It seems like Chelly's playstyle is that front-to-back. He wants to play a little bit safer. He has the Braum to protect him. Varus has a lot of crowd control. Cassiopeia is really well known for stopping those diving team compositions. Potentially, they could be drafting around him in the bottom lane. Potentially, they could try and have a better early game now that there's no Olaf for Howard to run around with and shut down Fire Lolly.
That may be the place that they actually look towards here from OMG's side as well. You mentioned the bottom lane. A Braum Sejuani is a dangerous combo level 2. It gets even more dangerous at level 6 when a Varus gets the ultimate there as well to actually start it all off.
That's probably where we're going to have to look at the action as soon as we get onto Summoner's Rift. Tristana as well as Leona. We've already seen the Tristana-Alistar combos. This one has a much bigger punch. And it's OMG do or die once again. It's a match point for EDG. Let's get onto the Rift for game number 2.
It's just too much passion. Listen. Oi.
Calm down.
Nah, you're all right. You're all right. I like the passion. Keep it going. All right, Fish, we're on.
Every single time there's an EDG game, there's always people cheering for Mako. After they do all their team chants, it's always Mako.
He's got a massive grouping of fans, a massive collection of fans. EDG just across the board, do. They celebrated one of the birthdays the other week. I believe it was Ray.
Ray's birthday.
And they all actually just went to EDG's house and had a cake out the front.
On top of that, at the Shanghai Arena, the Super Brand Mall, every single LCD screen in the mall was a video PowerPoint presentation just celebrating Ray's birthday. And we thought EDG might have done that. No, it was their fan club. Ray's fan club made that for him.
A lot of big fans. EDG, and we have kicked off the game. We've started with a fairly traditional double lane leash for OMG. On the opposite side, however, Zac has not. So we've already seen a bit of a shift as the early game starts. And from this position, you're looking towards how Sejuani reacts, in my opinion, anyway. You know a lot of presence will be on the bottom side. A Leona and a Tristana want to push, they want to pressure you. And the Braum's very dangerous to gank 4 as well, so Sejuani could be down there. And I wonder if that's why Zac has pathed this direction. So that's why we have to look towards Firelolly and where he's going to go.
It's a Resolve Tree Sejuani as well being picked up for Firelolly here. Has that zombie ward. No early wards being placed down by EDG like game number 1 where they're able to take the red buff away from OMG.
Domination in the secondary tree, seeing far more often now, even from solo laners without the zombie ward going for the added healing. So ultimately, it's just the new secondary way to go, it seems. Right now, as we continue to look just that little bit further, Firelolly path towards top lane. He could get himself a gank off, and it may mean that he wants Xiang to start snowballing the early game off. It'd be unexpected, to say the least. Ray may not be prepared for it.
They're going. Ray has to be careful here. Firelolly is right behind Na in mini form, so does have to hop away. Going for that gank. Camille's going to try and walk up as well. Charge doesn't connect, but they slow him down. He's forced to flash away. Camille jumps in. Nope.
Oh.
Dashes straight back out.
The pump fake this time around from Xiang. Ray has to use the flash. I think the biggest part there of that trade, very good from OMG, I might add, before we talk about it in detail, is that the jump, the dash rather, from Sejuani cancels jumps. That's why there was so much respect from Ray. The reason he flashes is because he couldn't jump to safety, he couldn't jump far enough, and then the flail, the W rather, was about to lock him down. So chooses to be safe, chooses to keep his health there. It is a potion advantage for the Camille. But Ray, he's had enough of your jungling antics, Firelolly.
Decides to go for a fight against Sejuani, denies Firelolly the opportunity to take Gromp away. Something Haro was able to do while Sejuani was in his jungle. Checking with the bottom lane, no action early on from EDG. Mako as well as iBoy just pushing this lane in, keeping Chelly and Maestro underneath their turret.
Yeah, the conscious efforts to push. Haro could currently be doing his Raptors and moving towards Krugs, but he was looking, it seems, towards an opportunity in the middle lane. Now, that was wasted time, but it is time where Scout is able to get himself a nice little advantage in that middle lane, though he's out of mana now.
He's out of mana. He was able to get a trade against Icon. Icon still has a decent amount of mana for himself. And Firelolly's going top lane again. Ward is still there. Hasn't expired just yet.
Risky
Ray will
business
spot
from
him out.
Firelolly. Camille should be the one to start this one off with a hook shot so that she can close distance. Ray is playing so safe that I don't know if they're even going to be able to traverse such a large area.
The ward expired, so Ray is not sure.
But he knows something's up. Look at the way he's playing. The wave's pushing back towards him. He honestly has no reason to step forwards right now besides boomeranging the cannon. It's the only thing you might see from Ray in the next 10 seconds.
But this is good from OMG. Something that was touched on the desk was they need to get Xiang and Icon in winning lanes. Xiang's doing well in the top lane thanks to the help from Firelolly. Icon's doing fine.
He's got
the question is the
here.
bottom lane though. Gank comes in. Leona jumps in as well. Xenoblade follows through. They slam them together. OMG's Chelly's gonna fall. First blood picked up by iBoy, but teleports are coming to the bottom lane. Is that the second kill? Yes, it is. Now Xiang's the one that's in trouble. His jump gets interrupted, still trying to chase him down. Johnny comes down. OMG trying to turn this one around. iBoy jumps on top of them for the slow. Still gets locked down. Teleports into the bottom lane. Haro slams 2 more together. Xenoblades in. Mako gets that kill. Xiang's in trouble. Forced to jump away. And EDG win the fight bottom lane.
From the moment I saw the Camille teleport complete, you just have to sit there and wonder why it was happening at all. But then Firelolly comes in. You're feeling it. You're like, okay, OMG. They're looking for the counterplay. They may have what it takes to make this work. But then Ray comes in as well. And there was just so much strength available from a Leona, from a Zac, all of the crowd control, and Tristana being able to jump constantly and reset. And when you take stock of what's just happened down in that bottom lane, that is a 2-0-1 BF sword Tristana at 5 minutes into the game. That's a disaster.
I think this is Clement's point. You give OMG the tools they need to win. You give them a winning mid lane. You give them a strong top lane and the attention of Firelolly. That's okay. EDG will just go bottom lane and force you to fight them there.
Almost expected in this game as well, based off the draft. Mako, he's got Mobies. He was sprinting.
He's still going because Haro jumps in as well. Everyone is here. Miasma goes down. Xiang's looking for this fight. But Scout, he has his ultimate available. Haro is very low. Firelolly's looking to try and jump back into this one. Charges towards Mako. Locks him down first. But he just gets stunned in return. Scout pulls him back, gets some damage. OMG, they keep going for these skirmishes, but EDG always beat them to the punch.
OMG are always reacting. They're not actually taking the first step. They're responding to EDG, and a Moby Boots Leona is always going to be their first. And unfortunately for EDG, they all just missed. But still somehow is the end result of that trade. It's not a bad thing in the end. Bottom lane, a little bit zoned, but he's still pretty fed, especially once Leona comes back to lane. They're going to be very powerful as the 2v2 goes. And mid lane, they get the Cassiopeia ultimate, they get the heal out of him as well, and no summon is expended for that. It's still a very good trade.
EDG have put themselves at about 1,000 gold ahead 7 minutes into the match. So it's not as devastating as game number 1. And we already saw in game 1, OMG 7,000 gold behind, were able to team fight quite well with Chelly. However, the gold now is on iBoy. And he can carry games for EDG. We've seen him do it before.
Oh yeah. He's the kind of player that will just be able to 1v9 if need be, especially when he is fed. And Tristana, one of those few good champions to do exactly that. We'll have to continue to watch iBoy as he goes throughout the rest of his game. The other place as well is that Ray was having a pretty bad experience at the start of the game.
Yep.
But by being able to contribute bottom lane, by having Camille down there for such an extended period of time, it's caught him up just a little bit further. It's not ideal for him, of course, in the top lane, but he's okay.
He's got the Ninja Tabbies. That's going to mitigate a lot of the damage that Xiang can dish out. Xiang is still controlling the wave well. He's still holding it off his turret. He still has the advantage in the top lane. He's even a level up over Na, so that could be still another point of attack for OMG. But EDG are all focused on this bottom lane. Haro looking for ganks in between the turrets. Once again, match number 2 is exactly the same as match 1. EDG denying multiple waves away from OMG's bottom lanes.
Haro was spotted for just a second. There was a shimmer of a Zac blob coming out of the bush when he used the blast cone, but OMG would have known that anyway. The Sejuani also rotates down towards the bottom lane in an attempt to prevent any kind of dives. And this is on vision as well, so Icon's very aware. EDG are just forcing. They're looking, and there's one lapse in vision, one mistake from OMG, then the ults are used and they'll try and punish you. But so far, there has been vigilant ward placements from OMG in an attempt to defuse any of these engages.
Which you think would be expected for these two team compositions. EDG looking to try and force early game fights to snowball ahead so they can run that front-to-back comp. OMG trying to scale up, trying to wait for a big team fight later on, warding out to spot them and to stop them from doing that. However, EDG have been successful so far, but is it going to be enough? OMG look like they're in a fairly comfortable spot still.
They are. They're still trying to get towards the level 6 point, particularly for their jungler. However, this is the second game in a row now between these teams where Haro's had an experienced lead, so you're starting to see the spillover effect of that. We're waiting for level 6 where perhaps OMG can make the play.
Which Icon has already ticked over to. He's level 8, so is Scout in the mid lane. Xiang's done the exact same thing. Firelily now has his ultimate available, and so does the bottom lane duo for OMG. So this is where things can get really volatile.
If they get volatile, if it's actually going to happen, then this is one of the few ways that we can see that start to happen, is Firelily playing around the middle lane, but also playing around the bottom lane. I have very low expectations of him being able to do something successfully top right now, just because no one is recalled. They've got a lot of money that they would be wanting to spend with a lot of items on the back burner, so both of them should be, respectively, of course, playing very passively in an attempt to just get some control. Ray is zoning himself, so I'd still be looking towards elsewhere on the map.
So both top lane and bottom lane are pushing for EDG in two different ways. EDG are winning the bottom lane, so they're able to push it into the turret against Chelly, whereas Ray is being zoned. Xiang is technically winning that matchup. Only mid lane is pushing back in for OMG at the moment. Bottom lane is where we're going to be looking at, because even if Haro's not here, even if Ray and Scout are not here, that's a level 6 Leona and a BF sword advantage to Tristana. At any point in time, they can just pull the trigger and try and take down Chelly.
They can try, yeah. I just don't know how easy that's going to be. Maestro having both summoners, having the door, having, you know, the ultimate as well available. Even Guardian as his keystone of choice. I don't know if they'd have enough raw damage in a 2v2 to be able to secure a kill at all. But they could try and force it to get summoners out and then go for a re-engage afterwards. But we are seeing Haro here already, acknowledging that it may require a third person.
Forces a flash out of Chelly, and they try to turn this one around. Sejuani's on her way, but she's only midway through the river. Jump forward from iBoy. He's exhausted. Locked down. Does he have a second jump back out? Yes, he does. But there's Firelily. Can he get that kill? iBoy's in trouble. Hail of arrows misses from Chelly. iBoy heals. He's going to get charged down. Forces a flash. Jumps over the wall. Firelily follows through. He is going to fall for this. Big mistake from EDG's bottom lane.
And exactly what we were just talking about. They don't have enough. If the Zac slingshot is going to miss, Leona's not going to be able to follow up. To be fair, I would credit so much of that to Maestro, and I hope we get to see a replay of it because his ultimate was picture perfect. Cancelled a lot of things. Here they go again.
Haro's trying to jump back in, kidnaps Chelly as well as Maestro underneath the turret. Haro picks up that. Mako gets the second one. What the heck is going on?
No one expects the tank combo to come back to bottom lane a second time. Able to kidnap him under the turret, secure themselves the 2 kills. That was nice from EDG. That was actually very good from them to be able to do that. We get to watch this one, because this is prettier. To watch the pretty stuff. It's great. It's just good. It's nice. There's not much you want to say about it. I like it. It's a good gank.
They're going again. It's the tanky combo trying to take down Fire Lolly. Instead, they get a control ward for their troubles.
It's all pressure. Blue buff is where they're also looking towards, but I believe that Fire Lolly now with the control ward in the bush will be able to defuse that.
Yep. Icon rotates over. Will be able to pick up blue buff for himself. EDG through the skirmishes bottom lane have picked up a 2,000 gold lead. And again, it was a bit of an overcommit coming out from my boy.
Yeah.
But Chelly doesn't get the kill. It went over towards Fire Lolly. Missed his hail of arrows. That should have been a secure coming out from Varos.
Yeah, iBoy did live for a very extended period of time as well, so I think he was pretty close to not even getting the assist, Chelly, ultimately, with how long he lived for. But for what it's worth there, I mean, iBoy, I don't think he overextended himself. I think he was a trust fall with the rest of his team, and the reason that he died was because of how well Maestro played it. So that's where I don't discredit iBoy for the way he played that, and I actually just credit OMG's support. He cancelled every gap closer that was going to close distance to be on top of Varus. The only one that got through was a Tristana, and he was so far out of position.
EDG looking to try and force their way into the bottom lane again.
Teleport wards are in place.
There's the teleport ward, drops it down and says, you know what, I'm just going to run straight at you. Exactly how EDG's team composition is designed. It's a mini form now, but it doesn't matter too much because they split apart AD carry and support. Chelly gets jumped on by Haro, slams him into the turret. That's got to hurt. iBoy gets that first kill. Ray's looking for the second. They get it. Clean execution of the dive bottom lane.
That was so simple from EDG. It almost felt like it was too easy from them. They time it to perfection. Mako runs in with his mobility boots, Leona places a teleport ward, and immediately, just like that, teleports in. They secure the kills. Fire Lolly needs to be a little bit careful here. They're trying to trade, but they are so far behind tempo that it's a trade down at best. They might get themselves top lane if they can.
Cover the nameplates of EDG. This is Season 2 Moscow 5. Just run straight at the opposite team. Disregard turrets. Disregard champions and kill everyone in sight. It's given them 7-1 in terms of kills. They're 4,000 gold up. They pick up Mountain Dragon again. OMG do respond to get a Rift Herald for themselves.
And he won't actually get the turret. It's going to take it way too long to secure that one. The reason for this is that Xiang spent so much time zoning and not a lot of time pushing. So that was his first real attempt at a major or significant push. By that, won't get himself to structure, won't be able to help OMG trade any further. So it's just a free turret, 1-0.
It's given him a level advantage over Ray, but that's it. Although, yes, he's 20 CS up, Ray has a kill. So that's going to negate the goal difference, as well as the structures that have been taken up by EDG already.
Yeah, with that lead, you'd expect Xiang to contribute to the team, though, especially once his teleport is available, but he's already being pressured. EDG are always the first to rotate, especially when they had control of bottom. And now you just look towards Haro. Once he makes his way up here as well, accelerates the push further. Even then, the fact that Haro's just near the blue buff, he's invisible to the map. Xiang has to assume such a thing. So they just pretty much control the map.
And you normally think that Tristana is a weak mid-game because she has to try and get that Infinity Edge, try and get the first Steel item complete. Whereas Chelly on the Gwynce's Rageblade, once that item is complete, it's going to look good. But it's IE Zeal to Gwynce's.
There is a Herald, though.
And OMG are looking to try and push through bottom lane.
This is good from OMG. They're making the proactive play. They're not just trading this time, but they're looking towards trading up. Ray cannot defend this right now until he hits Mega at the very least. Otherwise, he is susceptible to immediate death from a Sejuani.
Rotations are coming down. Leona's making her way through. Hara's trying to cheat down as well. But good play from OMG, as you mentioned. They get 2 turrets for the trade of 1 on the top lane. Brings the gold lead back slightly.
It completely upsets the balance here for EDG as well. They had control of the map. They were looking towards a lane swap, perhaps force OMG to that side of the map as well, or force them to trade down with like a 20-odd second disadvantage in timing. That didn't matter in the end because the Herald was used effectively. And that's what you want to see from Herald. It's what you want to see from OMG as a team, to be able to make plays like that keep them in it.
EDG are still looking to try and go towards the mid lane, take down the final outer turret. So I can get some good damage off the Scout here. Locks him down with the Miasma. Scout's going for the Abyssal Mask first, recognizing that Icon will have a lot of magic damage in this match, even Mercury Thread's being picked up.
Of course, as he should, go towards the Abyssal Mask. Of course, when you look at the matchup between the mid laners, it's pretty difficult to lock down the Cassiopeia, especially if she hits you with the Q. The poison means that she gets that move speed. Swain's crowd control is very slow, it's lumbering, it's predictable. It's gonna get you, so you just move out of the way very quickly as Cassiopeia.
They're parking Scout on the top side of the map at the moment. Ray is currently in the bottom lane. Both of these champions have teleport.
Currently, Ray does not, though. So there is a window of opportunity for OMG if they wanted to utilize that. Xiang also on the top side of the map. And in fact, by sending Icon bottom, they leave themselves vulnerable to this.
Yep. They're going to try and push down mid lane outer.
He's still visible.
So Tristana with 2 items. With her E, the satchel charge, takes down turrets fairly quickly. They don't have to take it down in one push. They can slowly chip away at this turret. Icon is rotating over. On the way, pings come out from EDG, and everyone is starting to group up in this mid lane.
And OMG have to be here to defend this next wave as it crashes. It's a cannon wave. EDG have got the pressure. Swain's got 5 stacks on his passive as well, so the ultimate can be blown up immediately for the maximum damage. A lot of threat. OMG respect that threat, as they should.
They move Scout away from the mid lane once again. He's moving down into the bottom side of the map to continue pushing and splitting apart OMG. The more EDG can do this, the less effective OMG are, because they only have 1 teleport.
And that's interesting. At 17 minutes into the game, Scout decides to go towards a tier of the Goddess. That's not something you would often see.
It's quite late.
It's usually a rushed item, but there was a conversation recently where Froggen said it takes 8 minutes to stack the tier up to be completed once you have the Archangels done. So that's not that long of a duration. As long as you're rushing, the Archangel Staff is your next item. It's okay.
Touch on it later, because it's going to be a skirmish around red buff here, or EDG just might straight up take it away. No, it's not! Jelly snipes it away.
Why not? Get himself the red buff. It's not going to do a massive amount of work, but there was a lot of time that EDG sunk in towards trying to take that red buff and control the jungle. Now, they do still have control of the jungle around the Baron area. You can see the wards. The red buff is there for Chelly, and that is nice to have.
Well, he was a red buff like you, but then he took an arrow to the knee. Chelly gets it. OMG going to try and take back some control.
Not a red buff at all.
But the wards coming out from EDG are quite good at the moment, giving them good vision control. Try to steal another jungle camp away from them. Doesn't get it this time. Raptor does reset. But seems like Icon might be slightly caught out here. Haro does get interrupted by Philo. Good flash away from Cassiopeia.
Oh, they're going.
Chelly looking for the fight. Kidnap brings Braum back into the back lines. Maestro trying to survive this one. Scout getting good damage out. Turns on his ultimate. OMG trying to kite this one back. Chelly stepping forward. Locking him down. Good damage. Sion now joining the fight as well. EDG are fairly low. Ultimate being used. iBoy jumps on top of it. Scout, he's going to get taken down. OMG get the first kill. And they're still looking for this fight. Teleport coming in to try and save Zach. We'll keep this Wobblet alive a little bit longer, but Icon steps forward. Haro is going to fall. Ray is mega, but jumps over the wall. Big! Nah! All 4 of them get knocked backwards. Double kill still being picked up by Icon. iBoy hops away. Heal is being used by Cassiopeia. And despite the fact that EDG are ahead, it's still such a close fight. Siyoung's not done yet. Chasing down to Tristana. You have no mana! You have no mana, iBoy! You cannot escape from Cassiopeia!
OMG win a team fight almost very comprehensively if it wasn't for Ray. The Miracle Gnar ultimate keeps the minute, and suddenly OMG in the middle of the lane, the next place that EDG would have gone to break open the entire game. They are thwarted, they are held back, and instead OMG get the advantage. They start to press up and push forwards. Whilst it's still a gold lead to EDG, the number is dwindling, and we're getting very close to an even game.
It's 1,000 gold. That's all that separates these two teams. OMG going to pick up an Air Dragon for themselves as well. Go back to base, spend the gold they just acquired. Not many of the kills, actually none of the kills, went over to Chelly there. All of it onto Icon and Siyoung as well. So OMG stuff to play towards the top side of the map. Here's that fight again.
And it's just so good from OMG in their disengage. This is what their composition excels at. First and foremost, Fire Lolly cancels Zax's going forward, and then they just turn on a dive. Straight away, they go towards Haro to lock him down. Scout is the person who oversteps here, however. He's standing on Cassiopeia's grounded, and then just continues to walk forwards and gets stunned by the Braum passive, and now he's just caught. Xiang obviously even dodging the Swain's ultimate damage, and iBoy could not push him away in time. And from here, Ray, he accidentally jumps forwards, it feels like, after the teleport completes. And then he's caught, but he's not caught. Wait, he's got a massive ultimate. He'll get 1 kill, and then also the reset for iBoy. It looks like he's about to get out.
Ooh.
It was very close.
Was seconds away from that second jump not connecting thanks to the miasma from Icon as well. But watching Chelly that entire fight, he played so safe. And OMG actually played around him. Haro's re-initiation, Chelly was nowhere close to Zach. And Zach has a ton of range for the initiation.
Also remember at the end of that fight, Icon still had full resources available. There was nothing locking him down either. We saw this in game 1, to be fair. EDG weren't playing around killing the carries. They were playing around killing the tanks before their tanks die. But the compositions in this second game are a little bit less oriented towards that. Yet the play hasn't changed.
Remember what happened in game number 1? OMG, 7,000 gold behind, still looked like they could try and take fights at EDG. They were nowhere close to what a 7,000 gold lead should look like. And this is EDG. This is the team that against Invictus Gaming, 10,000 gold behind, can win 5-on-5 fights.
They are looking for a giant flank here. There is a Leona and a Na running in tandem down the river.
Good moves by OMG, moving down towards Dragon instead. Maestro is the first target, but here comes Scout. Gets the flank, locks down Chelly. That's a big flank from Scout. Uses his ultimate as well. They kill Mako, but will they lose their AD carry? iBoy jumps on top, he's dead! Double kill being picked up by Icon. Sion locks down Scout. There is no blast code for you. Another kill for OMG. Haro's gonna fall as well, trying to get away, but there is no escape from the OMG train.
And only Ray alive from EDG, and OMG with complete control. They've got a Cassiopeia, they've got a Camille. They can go straight over the Baron buff if they'd like as well. And suddenly this game that was just put it even is about to blow wide open for OMG.
There were warning signs in game number 1 for EDG, and they have not respected them so far in game 2.
Ray has to be a hero, but he's about to be mini. I don't think he's gonna... Actually, he is looking.
He is looking. Fire Lolly and Siang are fairly low. Icon does do a lot of damage to Baron. Can Ray look for a miracle steal somehow? They jump it back on towards him. Smite is available for Fire Lolly.
Here.
Fire Lolly dies! Oh no! It's going low. Do they get it?
no.
They do not. Siang still gets it. Leona looking to try and lock down Icon. Ray tags it with the boomerang. Xenoblade comes forward as well. Icon is not long for this world. Trying to stay alive as long as he can. Kiting away from this. But it's going to be a kill going over towards Ray.
Scouts hunting.
And they're trying to lock down Sion. Oh no, trying to take him down, getting good damage now. Ravenswap gets used well. Sion trying to run away. Is he fast enough? Hail arrows from Chelly will survive a little bit longer. He gets pulled back into the ultimate. Gets taken down. Force Lightning will get the kill.
But I think Chelly respawned just as the Baron buff was secured, so they still have one. EDG, however, all of these kills, all of this control, and what was meant to just be a Baron buff and get out. Their jungler dies to the buff. They all die, and now the pressure is mid lane.
There was no miracle steal from Ray, but he was the hero that EDG needed right there and then, delaying them long enough to get the picks. Haro's even jumping in. They've got an inhibitor turret. Chelly is the key carry to look out for. He's trying to cut this one behind the Braum door. iBoy's jumped a little bit far forward. OMG are able to repel them away from the inhibitor there. Scout is still split pushing on the top side of the map. And just like that, EDG take a commanding gold lead once again, 4,000 gold up.
It makes it very difficult for OMG to utilize the Baron buff effectively unless they get a team fight in the next few seconds. There's 2 minutes left on the buff. They can run straight down mid lane if they would like, but firstly they've got to clear not just 1 wave, but 2 waves. They've got to deal with bottom in a minute as well. So you can't help but feel like perhaps that's all they're going to get now is a defense. Reset of the minion waves and 1 more opportunity to team fight. Because EDG's turnaround of pressure just then was immaculate.
It certainly was, and team fights, you have to think EDG, they're going to keep forcing these fights. Oh, the gold for OMG. Sitting on carries like Sion, sitting on Icon, who is good at repelling the initiations. And Fire Lolly and Maestro have been playing so well to cancel those gap closes that come out from EDG.
Well, he's been playing okay up until the Baron. He was actually playing quite well. Again, the goals of OMG were very well defined. The way they played around those were also very notably seen. But all it takes is that 1 mistake. We've mentioned this already, the vision that was in place. All of these things, the setup for OMG is so necessary. If they don't see where the Zack's jumping from, if they don't see Mako before he gets the ultimate off, then they could lose the team fight outright. And they've been holding on so well, controlling all of that so well. And it's just that they die at the Baron that completely unfolds all of the hard work.
Still have a minute of Baron to work with. They might be able to get a turret. In fact, maybe a pick on Ray. There are a lot of members of OMG on the top side of the map, and Ray is stuck underneath an outer turret. Now going to recall.
Yeah, chooses not to go near the turret. If they wanted to dive in, they'd have to run through it. He would see it coming, and he also extends the distance they'd have to cover for the chase on him and enables his recall. If he wants it now, he needs to not reveal himself right now.
He needs to stay in that bush, hide, which he will do, and OMG walk straight past it.
Not too sure why he even cancelled the recall. I would imagine it's because he wants to 1v1 Chelly. There's a 0-4 Varus that you might be able to take down. Not even sure that he could, to be fair.
But like ships in the night, they just pass by, knowing that they're next to each other. EDG trying to make a rotation to pick off Sion. Sion very respectful towards that, backs all the way to his turret. There's no pick to EDG, but OMG trying to lock down Ray top side of the map. Does have flash available. Winters by, locks him down. Braum Sejuani combo too strong. Inner turret now under siege.
And just like we thought, again, Ray, this is not the first time he has done this. It happened in the first game against OMG. He's caught trying to defend top lane against a Braum Varus Sejuani. The second he exists, they're just going to throw everything at him and he will die. He's not a tanky Gnar by any means. In fact, he's going towards a Zeal third item. So he needs to respect that a little bit more. If your team's at the Mountain Drake, the inner turret isn't the be-all end-all. It's not an inhib. But now it's 19 seconds with him dead, and OMG still pushed forwards.
OMG are technically still 4,000 gold behind, so have to be careful if they go for a fight here. They haven't bought yet. But if they're able to take down this turret, go back to base, it's going to be an even match. Xiang, though, is looking for a deep flank. Hara's going to try and spot him out. Last coin gets used, getting back to safety.
And Xiang is an ever-present threat right now. If he is missing, he's got the capabilities of assassinating anybody that disappears into a jungle camp, such as what iBoy is doing right now. Of course, they knew where he was, so he is safe at the moment. But level 15, almost 3-item Camille. The Trinity Force is there. The Sterix Gauge is there. He can destroy your health.
And he's been playing team fights well as well. We know Camille is a split pusher and the LPL is used sometimes as a team fighter, and Xiang's been doing it effectively.
Xiang is the facilitator, he is the team fighter as well in terms of play styles, and he's built himself itemization towards that, going for the Sterix, and it could be the Titanic Hydra third, yes. That's good for wave clear, it's good for split pushing and accelerating that. Ravenous Hydra is the split pushing build, however. If he's going to commit to those team fights, it should be Titanic.
And every single time we watch him in the bottom lane or top lane, late game, he's very respectful right there. Backing away before Haro can get a chance to get in range to close the gap and try and get a pick there.
I mean, he's also 2 levels ahead of Ray.
Yeah.
He could 1v1 pretty much everybody on the map besides maybe Scout, and that's just because he can't kill Scout.
Scary thing for EDG as well is Ray will be going towards the Hurricane, so he's going towards the Mega Gnar build, but he's not going to be very tanky. He has a lot of health, very little resistance at the moment.
Frankly, I'm just unsold on this build in general. We see a lot of it, and I'm yet to ever be convinced about if its merits are really valid or not. Like, yes, Hurricane, you can stack Mega Gnar quicker. That's nice to have, especially when you're team fighting, but Gnar's always got that tiredness bar anyway. So for what it's worth, it's not always going to be optimal. We've seen rapid fire cannons as well. From Marin, pretty much the only one who consistently will go towards that over the Hurricane. Again, that's nice. Extra range is good to have, but does that extra range really make the difference in the scope of things? I mean, it could be like an adaptive helm. It could be an item that's defensive.
Hurricane's nice to have. Good for cleanup as well, but not very tanky. They do have the pseudo-tankiness of a Swain. They have a Leona and they have a Zac as well.
The one thing that I would give merit to Hurricane for, however, is its wave clear. But Gnar has the boomerang anyway. He's going to be stacking up to Mega regardless, so I don't know how valid that actually is.
Gnar's actually creeping up because Haro's looking for the engage. Maestro disengaging the team, throwing out the ultimate nice and early. Puts up the shield as well, flashing away, trying to stay alive. Shelly looking to try and lock down the rest, but Swain's in the backlines, has all 5 members of OMG locked down, but will he fall? Yes, he does. Icon gets the kill. Haro's trying to go back in, but his passing gets popped. Now Chelly's trying to step back into the fight. iBoy is playing this one nicely, zoning the way, but Xiang flies into the backline, will lock down Ray. He is incredibly squishy. He gets cut down by OMG. Icon is still chasing. Mako gets slowed. iBoy wants to join back in, but he can't. Mako's gonna fall. They trade 1-for-1, but Chelly steps forward and challenges iBoy to a duel. Like the coward he is, he disengages.
iBoy is going to back away. Mako has to sacrifice himself at the end, but this is also with the Baron up and available, and iBoy cannot do what Ray did. Not in this case. Not with all of the health bars still full, and Chelly and Icon still available, but he's going to try, damn it.
He's going to try.
He's going to have a crack.
He played the fight well. He was trying to zone Chelly away, but Icon jumps straight on top of him. Good use of the rocket jump. Tries to get away. Going for the duel. Dodges one, but it's not enough. Icon picks up the one-on-one, and Baron goes to OMG.
They actually stepped into the second one, unfortunately. The fancy feet of iBoy were not enough, but he tried his little heart out to look towards a kill. Maybe just reduce the Baron off one of the members of the team. But now he's dead. EDG. We watched them engage. We watched them go forwards constantly. Ray's here. He's in Mega Gnar. Scouts forwards. All of this looks pretty solid at the start. iBoy used the QSS and he used the jump already though, so he's not in the safest position. The ultimate's also gone. And Haro just goes in only to die. Now Ray cancels Xiang's hookshot when he was going towards iBoy. That could have been the fight saver, potentially. But that doesn't mean that iBoy's actually unlocked or enabled to do damage. It just means that iBoy's going to live.
He played the front of that fight well, and Chelly positioning really nicely, tagged iBoy with the ultimate as well. Both AD carries are key players to watch in this game, because they're both playing out of their minds at the moment.
Oh, gee, doing work right now. They are actually propped up to take a game from EDG. With an exposed inhibitor in the middle lane, however, OMG can't afford to make a mistake. With the Baron buff, they're very much set to succeed, and they're looking towards top lane.
Top lane's going to fall nice and easy. EDG decide not to go for a last stand there. Inhibitor is open to be taken. But Swain, Scout, he's on top of a ward.
Spotted though.
Massive flank, is it going to be enough? Sion looks to try and lock him down. Fire Lolly delaying the rest of the team so they can try and take down Scout first. He's trying to run
Just
away,
dead.
knocked back. Fire Lolly is going to interrupt him as Scout's dead. Tries to flash over a wall, it's going to be enough. Sion finds him. Winter Spider's there, locked down through the Brawn passive, but he's still alive for a while, but finally dead. Massive knock come out from Ray, but it's not going to be enough. Mako trying to lock him down. iBoys run the complete wrong direction. OMG have access to the base.
iBoy just decides to not help his team. He wants to assassinate Seong. Now they have to try and defend the base, but the inhib's already gone.
That's the second big ultimate that's come out from Ray. All 4 members in that top side of the map locked in the wall, but there was no damage to follow up from EDG.
Aro is still hunting here. He's looking for it. He's going to back away. That fight was literally Scout trying his hardest to survive when you've never seen someone so mispositioned in your whole life. And he lived for a very long time. That's pretty surprising. But then iBoy was on a different page completely to the rest of his team. And just like that, OMG, they've got control. They're teleporting. They want the second inhib.
Aro says he's going to try and put up a last stand on top of a control board. Has the flank. Does he go for the fight? Ray is going mega. No Gnar ultimate available though. Seong jumping into the back lines. Maestro is low. Here comes the charge. Aro jumps in. Does he get it? No! Fire Lolly interrupts him once again, and immediately OMG killed the tag. Inhibitor is under siege. Ray tries to jump in the fight, uses the base gate to get over the wall, but he's exhausted by Maestro. Icon gets the kill, and OMG are pushing for a win here.
And you'd have to imagine that's actually just going to be the game if OMG want to commit themselves. Baron buff now put on the minions. They want to push forwards. It requires nothing short of a miracle from iBoy and Mako.
We said it was do or die in game 1, and this was match point for EDG. They're going for the final fight, and you can hear the crowd in Chengdu cheering for EDG. iBoy's gone. Only Scout is left alive. They might have just done it here, Rusty. This could be OMG picking up a game.
They've definitely done it. They're going to pick themselves up the game. They're going to put us to a game 3.
Just like that. Finally, they get access to the Nexus. OMG were behind early, but it didn't matter because they team fighted incredibly well. We're going to game 3, ladies and gentlemen.
And no matter how many times you try and praise EDG, they'll find a way to lose a game in every single set they play. But it's still OMG's game to win in this case. They still played it out quite nicely. The team fights were so much better from them this time around. They just seem to outperform across the board. EDG felt this need to engage, and I would credit a decent amount of that to the draft, to be fair. I think the Cassiopeia pick was fantastic. Viola played his Sejuani significantly better into a Zac this time around, not going to be the Ola.
Forced fights from EDG got them the lead early. Even though it was only about 1,000, they snowballed it into 4. But from there, OMG said, you know what? We can fight the team that is known for team fighting. Even though we're 4,000 gold behind and we can win. It was just so well played by everyone. They were all on the same page. And EDG looked like they had the fights themselves, but there's never enough damage to take down the tankiness that OMG had.
You get this feeling from watching that game that it was a lot of individual efforts from EDG, but not a lot of team cohesion, realistically. We saw some big ults from Ray. He was trying to protect iBoy, but iBoy wasn't really working with the rest of his team. He was just trying really hard to outplay people himself. Scout Swain was decent, but it wasn't something that would be a real game changer. And he also still made some very questionable decisions, as Scout is wont to do here and there, especially in the mid lane fight. Just walking on miasma for a few seconds, saying, how do you do, and dying.
And credit to iBoy, some of his highlights were bringing back lost fights for EDG, were zoning away players like Chelly. And it seemed to be something they needed in the fight, which is weird, because EDG were ahead. If you are ahead, you shouldn't be the one. The owner shouldn't be on your team to make those highlight plays to try and get back into it. And on top of that, iBoy was really their only damage. Scout kept dying right off the bat because OMG would lock him down, disengage from the rest of the team, kill the carry in the mid lane, and then you're only left with iBoy.
If it requires something special to even up a fight, then clearly something has gone very wrong if you have a 4,000 gold lead already. And I do think that it was OMG actually reacting to the engages of EDG very well, being very aware of what was going to happen. And that's a Zac slowly slingshotting towards them. That was the go button. That was the counterplay. They just played to what they thought would work, and it very evidently did.
And with all of that, it was an action-packed game. There was team fights. It was incredibly bloody, and OMG sent us to game number 3. But first, to break it down, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thanks, guys. And, Clement, I'm going to let you off the hook because you said it was going to be a 2-0, but analysts have very tough jobs because we have to make predictions before we see the draft phase. And once we saw the draft phase, your analysis was spot on. You saw that Swain pick and you said, Scout's about to troll.
Yes, I did say, because I understand Scout. I understand him. He's like my brother. What his mentality is, I can go in. How much more damage can I do? And he doesn't work on a Swain pick. Swain is one that you have to read the team fight very well, and you have to finish the team fight from start to finish. Okay, so Scout, I don't like the Swain.
But let's go ahead and look at the larger scale draft pick, because it wasn't just the Swain pick. And I want to talk about this idea of systems or shells or whatever word that you want to put on it. Because what's interesting is that you've done a lot of your analysis in the Eastern regions.
Yes.
So it does have a very different lens from traditional Western analysis. So when you look at these comps, what are you defining as win conditions? And let's start with EDG.
Okay, so for EDG, the interesting thing here is that they first picked the Swain, a very powerful pick on 8.5, but it is countered by what OMG is throwing at in the Cassiopeia. So what EDG really wanted to do with their draft is make sure they can move their pieces towards mid. They have the blue side on the Leona, and we've seen EDG do this a couple times. It's much harder to box in bot lanes from the blue side, so they can move the Leona towards the mid lane, and they also have the Zac to do it.
And you're saying that because of the shape of the map,
Yes.
these blue side picks. So it's easier to gank mid from blue side as a support, and it's harder, or it's easier to box in the bot side.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So,
And
yeah, it's...
Then on OMG's side, we talked about that if you do give them these priority winning matchups, the Xiong, he got the Camille, it's a decent matchup at Jannar if there's jungle attention, and also the Cassiopeia into the Swain. It's not a great matchup for Swain. And you said, would this be enough to get OMG over the line?
Yeah, so the big thing about OMG here is that they have side selection in this game, and they actually go out of their trend of picking blue side. They went for the red side, and they counter-picked for their solo laners here. That's a big change for OMG in the style they play, and the way they wanted to play it was basically allow Fire Loli to facilitate his lanes to continue to pressure Ray and pressure Scout in the winning matchups. That's what the idea was. However, EDG had a really good plan into it.
Yeah, and so the plan basically was that you see that there is a Braum Varus. Now, Braum Varus are a very difficult lane to deal with. Yes, Leona can be okay into Braum. We talked a little bit about the W's, but frankly, Braum Varus should have the push advantage here. Yes. They should be spell flinging, chipping down Tristana, but there was an adaptation for EDG that allowed EDG to get advantage bot lane.
Yeah, EDG, they did not start a leash for Haro. Instead, OMG started their leash because they wanted Fire Loli in the top side of the map where you could assist his solo lanes like we just talked about. So essentially, EDG were able to reverse the matchup in the bot lane and get control over the lane. Mako was allowed to roam very early on.
And it goes back to this idea of what you've been saying all day, Clement, that if you give EDG enough time to plan out what they're going to be doing, and this is EDG planning from the very beginning. They see the Braum Varus, they decide not to leash the Zac, he gets access, or they get access early to the lane, he gets access early to gank, and then suddenly where EDG shouldn't have a winning bot lane, they suddenly do.
This pretty much decided the first 20 minutes of the game. They get the gank off first, and then Camille follows up with a completely unnecessary teleport. They lose the bottom lane quite hard, and we can just see EDG snowballing off of that again and again. This time again, taking Shelly off guards. They got the eye boy, but the tanks are still there.
And you can also see the adaptation, because before EDG went for those bot lane plays, they actually did try to unlock Mako and get him into that mid lane, but was an unsuccessful gank because the CC wasn't lined up very well. Now, where the tables start to turn is suddenly when the 5v5 comes in, and it goes back to the analysis of, can Scout actually play Swain? Is this a champion that suits him and his strengths? And the answer was no.
Definitely no. So we can see in the B-roll in the team fights a little bit later on, but Scout is always looking to go in. He doesn't always pick his times opportune. And EDG, this is a great setup. However, they're trying to collapse on 3 sides, and they don't have the coordination to do it. Actually, this time Mako fails a little bit, goes in too deep, too fast, and gets killed instantly by the Camille knockoff. And this is a huge point of comeback for the OMG composition. What this means is EDG as a comp, they can't walk into OMG anymore. They can't win that type of team fight.
Yeah, and the issue is that you're trying to walk into Braum and Cassiopeia, which is never going to happen. You then put a Varus next to him. He's got the ability to stop anyone in front of him. So it's not just the responsibility on Scout. Like, Scout's going to be punished when he tries to go for these big flanking plays that you were talking about. But Haro then has so much responsibility that he has to hit that back line.
Yes, Haro absolutely needs to get Cassiopeia or Chelly out, kidnap them into the team fight for them to actually win a 5-on-5 engage. And that's what consistently Haro failed to do. It's a very difficult thing, to be honest. You can't be knocked out of your jump just by CC. You're not unstoppable in that phase. So props to Fire Loli props to Maestro right there, but they did it multiple times and they locked down the hero engage.
So it was about identity and understanding how you fit and where you work in the composition. Our man of the match does go to Icon for, again, a very backline protected identity from OMG. We asked, would it be enough if you gave these guys counter picks if they would be able to climb over a team like EDG? Well, guess what? We got our answer. He got the Cassiopeia into the Swain, and he punished EDG for it.
Yeah, very well done there. And I really want to see more out of OMG like this. They typically are on the blue side, but when they are on the red side, you can see their solo lanes do have that strength to punch above their weight.
Well, currently the red side is undefeated in the EU LCS playoffs, and it is very strong in this matchup. So we'll see how this series ends once we come back.